home park. So that's something to think about maybe after the holidays or whatever makes sense. I agree with Kristen or Commissioner Stevens. It would be good to follow up and better understand what a local enforcement would look like in the unincorporated parts of the county and what we could learn from the city of Fort Collins. A couple of additional comments are that you referenced the acronym, the Mobile Home Park Oversight Program at the state level in the Department of Local Affairs. They have a survey out now, and you must be aware of it. And I'm hoping that you and your neighbors will have completed that. And I think that will provide some feedback. And other than that, I agree. We should figure out what that looks like. We are one final thing, and that is, I think it's subject to what happens today in Election Day, but we are looking at, we've updated our land use code to be more friendly with regard to the importance of preserving organic, non-subsidized, affordable housing. So I think that's a step forward. I think we could probably, we're looking to do more. And I was going to mention that we do have a provision, maybe somebody could clarify this for me, where we're looking at, we started a pilot where some of our enforcement folks, code compliance folks, public health folks are meeting with meeting with people in terms of getting things up to code and addressing life safety issues in a way that's workable for the people who live, the residents of these parks. So I think that's something else that, I'm sure you're aware of, and appreciate your advocacy, and thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Samantha, for coming today. It's so great to see you. I appreciate you being such a effective, strong voice for your communities and residents across the county. I'm glad you brought this up to our attention. I'm not fully aware of all the details of the Fort Collins program. I'm certainly open to exploring this. I think my colleagues stated it well, both of them, but I do know we have that land use work that we did to look at doing those protection zones. And I do appreciate the work from our code compliance supervisor, Amir White, and Aaliyah Rodriguez right behind you, who doing some great work so that we can go out and help folks get up to code and compliance, but also helps us look at conditions or things we need to be aware of. Also, as you know, we did some American Rescue plans to support City of Fort Collins with the black flow water issues, quality issues, which was really important. And I know there's still a lot of work to do. One other thing we're looking at is potential broadband legislation for mobile home parks and multifamily units. There's some folks who have one provider and don't allow public options, which would be a lot cheaper and affordable, and equity, digital equity issues. So that's something that I want to make sure that you're aware we're working hard, and it sounds like we have some pretty strong backing going forward. So hopefully we'll be introduced. I appreciate Representative Basenecker taking that lead. So I just wanted to say there's work to do, and I think it was something we should definitely explore. I don't know how we would do that. I think we all welcome a chance to sit down and talk and look and learn more. So my first step would say maybe Aaliyah behind you and talk with her and see what kind of next steps. And we appreciate you bringing this to our attention, because I do think there's a lot of things. There's been a lot of progress at the state level and local level, but there's still work to do. So thank you for being here, and we appreciate your advocacy and your work. You're a phenomenal advocate for a lot of working families and people who maybe feel like they haven't had a voice in a long time. So appreciate your work. With that, we'll move on to our next item, which is approval of the minutes. Colleagues, did anyone have any changes or additions for the minutes? Did you have something else?
Just that it's been brought to my attention that the broadcast of this through the YouTube video is not happening. So
right. Before you, we have a little trouble with the monitors, and there's been a little bit of a glitch.
And I'm just letting you know that that's what you asked me if there's anything that's up, and it was brought to my attention.
It should be back live now. You can refresh.
Okay.
If you refresh the browser, you'll get the YouTube stream.
Great, thank you. That
Thank you.
that's all. And so regarding the minutes, I have no changes to the minutes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Um, any, okay, so with that, I'll ask Commissioner Stevens for a motion to approve the minutes, please.
Yes, Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes for the week of October 30th, 2023.
Thank you. Without any further deliberation, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. We'll move on now to the review of the upcoming schedule, and we'll have Sarah Martin to go over, bless you, our schedule.
This is the Commissioner's schedule for November 13th through the 18th, 2023. On Monday, November 13th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., the board will convene as the Board of Social Services in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Forest Health Council Leveraging Resources Committee meeting. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Leslie Ellis, Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., there will be land use items with the Development Review Team in the hearing room on the first floor. From 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m., there will be land use items with the Development Review Team in the hearing room on the first floor. On Tuesday, November 14th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be administrative direction to county management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Environmental and Science Advisory Board meeting in the Carter Lake Conference Room on the first floor. On Wednesday, November 15th, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be a Commissioner retreat in the Lake Arrowhead Conference Room on the fourth floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be a work session with Laura Walker, the Health and Human Services Director, in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Stevens will attend the Solid Waste Policy Advisory Committee Coordination meeting in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. From 3:15 p.m. to 4:45 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Regional Opioid Abatement Council meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the Boyd Lake Conference Room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. From 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Open Lands Advisory Board meeting at the Larimer County Loveland campus in the Big Thompson River Conference Room at 200 Peridot Avenue in Loveland. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioners may attend the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be in the Carter Lake Conference Room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. On Thursday, November 16th, from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis may attend the Housing Catalyst Board of Commissioners meeting, location to be determined. From 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Estes Valley Planning Advisory Committee meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at the Estes Valley Community Center at 660 Community Drive in Estes Park or virtually via Zoom. From 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Land Stewardship Advisory Board meeting at the Carter Lake Conference Room on the first floor. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioners will attend the Water Education Series, Session 4, What's Next for Larimer County Water, in the hearing room on the first floor. From 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis may attend the Board of Health meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it's at the Larimer County Behavioral Health Facility at 2260 West Trilby Road in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. On Friday, November 17th, from 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Northern Colorado Partners meeting. From 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Forest Health Council Legislative Committee meeting. And on Saturday, November 18th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will participate as a panelist at Senator Bennett and Senator Hickenlooper's 2023 Military Academy nominations Daniels Fund at 101 Monroe Street in Denver.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you going through that schedule. Colleagues, do you have any changes? Commissioner Kafalis.
Thank you. Just the times for the Board of Health meeting on Thursday night, November 16th. Would you repeat those times again? And thanks for including that as something that I normally attend and may attend.
It is from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
That's correct, Sarah. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. On Monday, November 13th, I might have to pop out a little early for the Board of Social Services because I need to chair the National Association of Counties Subcommittee on Highways and Interstates. And that should be 11:30 to, it just came up on my schedule, so it's 11:30 to 12, so it looks like it's going to be pretty short. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't have any additions at this time. I think you pretty much covered it. Other than I'm wanted to clarify that because the EDI board meeting last month was in Fort Collins, and it's going to be in Fort Collins again because of that we alternated, or is that because of the scheduling change and the lack of the room space? I'm curious about that. So just want to make sure it's in that location because we had talked to that it was supposed to be in Loveland, alternates, and so I'm wondering if that was is that because of the scheduling change in the rooms?
It appears to be a scheduling conflict, Commissioner, with the Open Lands Advisory Board that's in that same room you would normally be in.
Yeah.
I would imagine that, but we can check on that for you.
Okay, well, I was kind of counting on them being side by side so I could not have to, I could do both because I know I will be leaving the other one early, so, okay, that's fine, great, thank you. Just want to kind of make sure I understand that, thank you. And so that is all I have for today. For that. Now we'll move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of items of no perceived controversy and routine administrative actions such as abatements, agreements, deeds, final plats, liquor license, resolutions, and other matters previously reviewed by the Board of County Commissioners. Staff recommends approval of the consent agenda, and a commissioner may request that an item be pulled off the agenda and considered separately. And items that are pulled from the agenda by a commissioner will be considered after the board takes action on the remainder of the consent agenda. I'm going to read quickly through the consent agenda at a high level. For those in the public who might be interested in more of the details, if you go online to our website, we have a lot of transparency and accountability on our website for Board of County Commissioners. There's more in-depth details about the consent agenda, our schedules, emails, meetings, all kinds of great information. So you're welcome to dive deeper if you're interested in any of these items on the consent agenda. So now I'll read quickly through that. We have 4 agreements on this consent agenda. The first one is an intergovernmental agreement concerning the Heaven's Door Ranch Conservation Project, Amendment Number 1. And so this is just extending the deadline to adopt and approve a resolution accepting a conveyance of a conservation easement on the Heaven's Door property to the City of Fort Collins and City of Loveland on December 31st to September 1st, 2024, so that we can have a little bit of additional time to seek some grants, funding support this land acquisition by affording the opportunity to include any necessary funding information in that conservation easement. The second agreement is a State of Colorado Department of Human Services Intergovernmental Agreement Amendment Number 1. This basically is amendment applies to the Colorado Benefits Management System, the supplemental county lease computing assessment lease schedule, and it just documents the amount the county has to spend on this lease computing lease schedule and acknowledges any additional cost the county will be the county responsibility. And then we have an employment agreement, the second amendment between the county, between our county manager and the Board of County Commissioners. And then the fourth is a grant agreement, the second amendment to the Larimer County Rental Assistance Grant Program between Neighbor to Neighbor Larimer County for our administration of our Emergency Rental Assistance Program, or ERAP. We have 3 sets of appointments. One is a recommended appointment to the Agricultural Advisory Board of, congratulations, Ms. Town. We have recommended reappointment to the Ptarmigan PID, congratulations, Mr. Cunningham. We have a recommended appointment to the Workforce Development Board, congratulations to Ms. De La Torre and Mr. Martinez. And we have a letter of support of commitment to become a Soul Smart designated community. We've had 2 work sessions on this topic that brought forward by Eric Fried of our building supervisor, building department. And so this is just a letter of support that will initiate the process of SolSmart reviewing Larimer County's planning and building documents to provide an initial solar-friendly rating, which is no cost to us, but would be really showing our alignment and commitment to renewable energy actions in our county. And then we have a miscellaneous items. We have 4 of them. All of them are stipulations to tax year 2023 values. We have resolutions from some of our land use hearings. I believe there are 5 of them, and one of them is a resolution declaring. One of them is the first resolution declaring the seasonal allowances for certain special events related to local foods and farm stands. And this is a continuation of recognition of our county policies and plans supporting local food sales and agriculture. And this resolution makes provisions to allow the planning director to allow a weekly farmers market on that property to include up to a small scale and actions. You can read more about that online. We have findings and resolutions approving the Torgerson short-term rental administrative special review. We have a findings and resolutions approving the Baker appeal. We have a findings and resolutions approving in part and denying in part the Hillcrest lots outlot and right-of-way vacation, and then we have findings and resolutions approving a Clark short-term administrative special review. So that is our consent agenda. Colleagues, did you have any items you wish to have pulled from the agenda? Okay, I will ask Commissioner Gonzalez for that motion to approve the agenda, please.
I move to approve the consent agenda for November 7th, 2023.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on. Anybody? I don't have any guests today. Colleagues, did you bring guests today? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lafferty. Good to see you. And now we'll move on to, we have 2 discussion items today, both really exciting and important motions. The first, I will ask Ms. Martin who's coming up from Human Services Department. And this is a proclamation declaring November as National Family Caregiver Month. And as a caregiver in my family, this is near and dear to my heart for many years. So really excited about this. This is something we do every year. And it seems like we have some wonderfully expecting moms up here today. What was in the water a few months ago? That's great. Well, congratulations. And thank you for being here. So I'll turn this over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Danny Martin, and I am a case manager in the Larimer County Office on Aging Family Caregiver Support Program. I'm joined today by my colleague Brittany Goldman, the Office on Aging Program Manager Aaron Alt, and the Division Manager Lori Metz. Thank you all for allowing our team to be here today and for the opportunity to say a few words about National Family Caregiver Month, celebrated each year in November. This is a time to shed light on a group of individuals who often go unnoticed, yet play an invaluable role in our society. These unsung heroes provide an incredible service, often sacrificing their own needs to care for their loved one. The theme for this year's Family Caregiver Awareness Month is Caring Around the Clock, which reinforces the message that caregiving happens 24/7. Today we will explore the invaluable contributions of family caregivers and the importance in acknowledging their dedication. As President Joe Biden said in a proclamation on National Family Caregiver Month in 2022, family caregivers are the backbone of our nation's long-term care system, doing essential work with devotion, often at great emotional and financial costs. In Colorado, there are more than 600,000 unpaid family caregivers. Right here in Larimer County, there are approximately 68,000 people providing unpaid care to a loved one right now. While family caregivers play a crucial role, their journeys are not without difficulties. The emotional toll of witnessing a loved one suffering, the physical demands of caregiving, and the financial strain can be overwhelming. Caregivers often experience extensive amounts of stress, burnout, and a sense of isolation. It's essential that we acknowledge these challenges and offer our support. Out of all the help provided to older adults in the United States, 83% comes from family members, friends, or other unpaid caregivers. Over 60% of those family caregivers are working either full-time or part-time, and 30% are living with a child or a grandchild. They need and deserve more support from county, state, and federal governments. We're here today not only to recognize the sacrifices that caregivers make on a daily basis, but also to advocate for action to be taken now and throughout the year to provide tangible help for family caregivers in Larimer County. Improvements to flexible work policies, financial assistance, public assistance benefits, and family leave programs are a few ways to demonstrate our support and commitment to these invaluable heroes who are caring for others around the clock. As always, Commissioners Kafalis, Stevens, and Shattuck McNally, we appreciate your time, your proclamation, and your commitment to family caregivers in Larimer County. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. We're going to make some comments to you. You're kind of, see, they didn't warn you when you signed up for this. Actually, they probably voluntold you that you have to stay and we make comments. But well done. Excellent job, both of you. I appreciate you being here today. And I, as a caregiver for my grandparents and then my father, and sometimes my mother when she lets me, which is needed more and more lately, this really is heartfelt for me and really important. So I want to thank you for a job well done. So I have some more comments, but I'll open this up to my colleagues to make some comments, and then you get to be in the photo op. So we'll start with Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, just thank you for bringing this forward. Really appreciate it. I had some friends who would maybe going to be able to attend and then weren't able to attend. And when you're a caregiver, sometimes you can't come to receive acknowledgement for all the good work that you've done. So just for everyone who's out there listening, just wanted to say thank you for the work that you do. It truly is unsung work, and it's required. And I thank you for that quote by President Joe Biden, because I think that's true. It's kind of the backbone of our long-term care service. And yet, the people aren't supported to the level that they need to be. And I think about, the proclamation we did on Medicare for All, where, if your insurance is tied to your job and your job is a job that doesn't pay, you struggle. And that's probably why a lot of caretakers also have to work outside the home, at least part-time. So hopefully we will, work together to put in more supports for the folks who do this work. But thank you for the work that you do in that space. And just, happy to support the proclamation. And thank you again to everyone who's at home taking care of a loved one. We appreciate the work you're doing, and we acknowledge that, and we're thankful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Kafalis.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the amazing work that you all do in the Office on Aging and the support for family caregivers. It's important. I also appreciate that you mentioned in Larimer County there are perhaps 68,000 family caregivers that are often family members, unpaid, and in Colorado 600,000. I just looked up, I think a credible source, but I don't know if we have ever done an analysis of the economic value of that, but nationally, what I'm seeing here is this is AARP Public Policy Institute. Let's see, in nationally, the value, the economic value of family caregiving was something like $600 billion in 2021, from $470 billion in 2017. So there's an incredible amount of economic value, and I think it's important to point that out. I also wanted to mention that with the changing demographic, of course, there's a greater need for supporting older adults to live with dignity and to age in place as they see fit. And so family caregivers are really critical to that. And it can be a very difficult thing to do. And so I just want to acknowledge the important work that you all do. And the social connection thing is really important. In our culture, With exception, there seems to be a tendency to just forget about folks who have paid their dues. In other cultures, the intergenerational aspect is really critical, and that helps people live longer, live healthier, and live with greater quality of life. So I think family caregiving is an important part of that equation. So thank you, folks.
Thank you, Commissioners. As a proud former member of the Office on Aging Advisory Council and liaison now, and a former long-term caregiver for my aging grandparents who I love dearly and my father. So it's very important to recognize the caregivers who sometimes feel so sandwiched, but have raising children, but also taking care of their parents or their grandparents or their dear loved ones. It might even be a beloved aunt or someone very close to the family. And sometimes they can feel very much forgotten, and they don't even have time to think about doing something for themselves. So I appreciate very much the work that the Office on Aging does to support caregivers. They might even be a loving spouse who is just struggling with the emotions of being a caregiver, but also just needing a break to just kind of have some respite. So thanks for all the work that you do to support caregivers. I also want to recognize there are a lot of families in Larimer County that respite care and others support families and parents taking care of children with special needs or maybe adult children. And so I just wanted to also recognize that as well, because they also are giving loving care and it's long term, and it takes a lot of loving care and focus because there's a lot of needs and as folks start to age and change. So I wanted to thank everyone, Office on Aging, the staff, and you two for this great job that you did. It is important work. It's something that I talk about every year, and I'm glad you brought that up, Commissioner Kafals, about the amount of money, because I've always been, for many years, brought this up. It is an unseen heroes with unpaid workforce that generates a lot of economic driver. You said 68,000 folks in Larimer County. I think it's almost 40 million people in this country who have unpaid care to adult family member or friend in just 2021. So those numbers are probably higher. I think actually the numbers now are closer to over 50 million, as I understand. And some of this economic value, I think it's getting closer. I think the last numbers I heard were $690 billion. And that's for 40 billion hours of care they're estimating at this point. And that's, when you think about those numbers, they're staggering to think about the care that's given, that people do out of the depths of their hearts and care for their loved ones. And in our culture, it's really important that we recognize that. My daughter and I were big champions of intergenerational work and just trying to make sure that people put down their devices and connect with their neighbors, or even at the holidays, sit down and talk with their great aunt, ask about how you did that crochet stitch or this family recipe, teach me how to make those famous cinnamon rolls, grandma, those kinds of things. And so they can see that, they're valued, and they have done a lot of work in the generation. If you think about the greatest generation, the things that they've done and sacrificed for our country, and how the foundation we stand on as all of our elders, and the work that they did to help us get where we're at is this great country. And around the world, it's really important to recognize that. And I think it reflects on us as individuals and as a community in the county and a country, that how we treat our children and our parents and our loved ones, and how we value those who care for them, whether they be loved ones or even healthcare workers, is really fundamental to who we are as a society and as a nation and as a community. And when we show how we value everyone at every stage of life, I think it shows how we are as a society and a community, that we value all life and all human beings, and everyone matters and everyone belongs, and no matter what stage of life they're on or what kind of group they are. And so I think that's really important, and we tend to forget those who maybe are starting to age in place, and we need to give them that dignity and grace to do so and show that they still matter. So thank you for the work that you do. And thanks for bringing this proclamation today. I'm going to ask Lorinda if she had anything else she'd like to add today.
I guess I'll just say in closing, thank you for bringing attention to this. These really are the silent heroes of our community. They're the backbone of kind of the support system that we have and we rely on. And it's great to recognize them in kind of such a big way. So I know you all do this work every day. It's great for us to have a chance to say something more publicly. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we will pause quickly. So we have one other proclamation after this, which is a really exciting, important one. But if we can pause and take a photo with everyone, these two other people don't get out of it, and we'll take a quick photo to celebrate. Oh, I'm sorry, we haven't read it. Thank you. Pause. Hold on a second. You're right. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stevens, thank you for bringing that up. And would you please read that proclamation and make the motion, and we can approve that proclamation. Thanks for that. I'm jumping the gun. I'm so excited to take a photo.
Yes, Madam Chair. So this is a proclamation for 2023 National Family Caregivers Month. Whereas family caregivers are the heart and backbone of our community, providing vital care and support to their loved ones facing illness, disability, and aging, and whereas family caregivers provide on average 24.4 hours per week of their lives to ensure the well-being, comfort, and quality of life for those they care for, and whereas the selfless acts of caregiving strengthen the bonds of family and friendship and contribute to the health and happiness of our community, and whereas family caregivers often face challenges such as burnout, financial strain, emotional toll, and it is our duty to support them in their invaluable role, and whereas it is essential to raise public awareness about the dedication and sacrifice of family caregivers and to express our heartfelt gratitude for their unwavering commitment, and whereas Larimer County is committed to creating a community that honors and supports family caregivers, now therefore we, the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim November 2023 as Family Caregivers Month in Larimer County and call upon all residents to honor and celebrate the contributions of family caregivers.
Thank you, Commissioner. Would you make that motion, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Let me find that. I move to approve the proclamation declaring November 2023 as National Family Caregiver Month.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further discussion? Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to mention this earlier, but I forgot. That's part of aging sometimes. But I do appreciate when the Office on Aging, the Advisory Council, you invite us to. I think it's an annual event where we honor, appreciate, acknowledge volunteers and others. But for me, one of the more meaningful awards is the Family Caretaker Award, and so I just wanted to share that. I think that's really powerful and meaningful, and hope that you'll continue to invite us to that gathering. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stevens, did you have something else you wanted to add?
I do not. Just thank you
Okay.
again.
Okay, without any further discussion, all those in favor of approving the proclamation? Aye.
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 Great. Now we will pause for a photo op. Thank you. We'll be back momentarily for those online. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're on.
Thank you, Cassidy. Thank you and welcome back. Thank you for allowing us to take a moment to celebrate the proclamation declaring November 2023 as National Family Caregiver Month. Really important that we take a moment to honor our amazing family caregivers in Larimer County and the important role that they play in society and our community. So now we have another proclamation, which I'm super excited about. It'll be the first time we're doing this proclamation. I'm very excited about that. As far as I know, we haven't done this before, so I'm really excited about this. This has been a kind of area I've been advocating for over a decade in my school district, in my community. So I'm really excited about this. So I will invite Aaliyah Rodriguez, our Housing Stability Program Manager, who is going to come up and talk about our proclamation for Youth Homelessness Awareness Month. And so we want to recognize November as Youth Homeless Awareness Month to unite our community in the fight against youth homelessness and inspire positive changes for our most vulnerable and young residents who are our future. So, Aaliyah, thank you for bringing this forward and being here today. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Aaliyah Rodriguez. I'm the Housing Stability Program Manager with Larimer County. I'm going to keep my comments fairly short this morning and ask some of our esteemed guests to come up and speak on the issue. But to start, I just wanted to say thank you to the Board of County Commissioners for not only supporting this proclamation to raise awareness, but also for taking action to support our unhoused youth throughout Larimer County. I'm pleased to introduce two guests this morning who are experts in providing support to homeless youth in our community. They also played a crucial role in bringing this proclamation forward today. The two guests who will be speaking today are Kelly Pryor, our Executive Director of the Northern Colorado Continuum of Care. She's going to speak to the regional importance of this issue. And then we'll have Nicole Armstrong, Executive Director of the Matthews House, speak to more local perspective of service providers serving youth who are homeless. Kelly?
Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners, for having us. As Aaliyah said, my name is Kelly Pryor. I'm the Director of the Northern Colorado Continuum of Care. The Continuum of Care works closely with many community partners across both Larimer and Weld County to improve coordination of homelessness services and create effective systems to house people as fast as possible. And I really do want to thank you for the opportunity to recognize one of our most vulnerable unhoused populations in our community, and that is our unhoused youth, many of whom are struggling and often unseen and do not have the sufficient resources to support their many needs. And so in recognition of November as Youth Homelessness Awareness Month, it's a time for us to come together to acknowledge the struggles of these young people and to advocate for their rights, their well-being, and their bright futures. Youth homelessness can take many forms. It can be children living with their parents in a shelter or in a car, families who are fleeing from domestic violence, young people that feel they need to bounce between friends' couches or perhaps outside to avoid being at home. It also has many causes: family conflict, being rejected for their identities at home, experiencing the child welfare system, and of course cycles of poverty. The National Network for Youth found that unaccompanied youth in particular are at a higher risk for mental health problems, substance abuse, victimization, and they also face increased barriers to education and employment that can affect them long term. Here in the 2021-2022 school year, the Colorado Department of Education released statistics that in Larimer County, there were nearly 2,200 students identified as being housing insecure, 279 of whom were unaccompanied homeless youth. The Northern Colorado Continuum of Care believes that it takes a community to end homelessness, and awareness of the problem is a foundational aspect to make progress towards our goal to make sure everyone facing homelessness is identified quickly and provided appropriate resources and supports. So I do want to thank you again for recognizing one of our most vulnerable but least visible unhoused populations, the thousands of young people in our county that do not have a safe, stable place to call home. And to speak to that more specifically, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole Armstrong. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, everyone. I want to first thank you as the commissioners for recognizing this month for the proclamation.
Pause you just a moment. Could you identify yourself fully for the record? Thank you. Sorry, because you're so amazing. People need to know who you are.
Hi, I'm Nicole Armstrong, and I'm the executive director of the Matthews House. Youth homelessness is a complex problem with individual, family, community, and system factors at play. With 1 in 30 youth aged 13 to 24 and 1 to 10 young adults experiencing some form of homelessness over the course of their life. These young individuals face instability and trauma during critical developmental periods in their lives, and with far-reaching effects on them and the communities in which they live. It is not merely a result of an individual's choice, but a consequence of challenges and vulnerabilities. It is critical to recognize that certain groups of young people are at a higher risk of homelessness. Youth with less than a high school diploma or GED are nearly 3.5 times more likely to experience homelessness than their peers. The risk of homelessness for youth who are single parents is at least 2 times greater than those who are single youth who are not parents. Youth from low-income households earning less than $24,000 annually are 1.5 times more likely to experience homelessness. Our LGBTQ plus community youth have a 120% higher risk of experiencing homelessness. Hispanic, non-white youth have a 33% greater risk of experiencing homelessness than non-Hispanic youth. Nearly 9% of youth over the age of 16 report in the last 30 days that they slept somewhere other than their home here in Larimer County. Youth with a history of involvement with foster care and juvenile justice have a significantly higher risk of homelessness. Next November, we will be celebrating the grand opening of the Northern Colorado Regional Youth Shelter. This project is a deeply collaborative effort between the commissioners, PSD, TSD, and the Matthews House, along with a number of other community partners, to provide the first youth shelter built on the Front Range in nearly 15 years to serve the youth and the young adults in our community 15 to 20 years old. When organizations and teams come together and provide expertise, innovation, programming, community engagement, dedication, and a collaborative spirit, we can truly make transformational changes to the landscape of our community and to support some of the most vulnerable youth in our Northern Colorado community. Thank you for your unwavering support and your dedication to supporting these young adults. I'd also like to recognize that we have several other individuals from PSD from the McKinney-Vento program here today too. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Would you mind just mentioning who is else here today and calling? You can just say it into the mic, and then they can just come on up and or just stand up so we can recognize them so they're here. Because I know you guys work very hard and you need some recognitions. Nicole, would you mind just mentioning their names?
This is Liz Davis, Whitney Reed, and Elena.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. Wonderful comments, and it's unfortunate we have to even talk about this issue at all. We should not be even having this kind of issue in our country of such means, but certainly grateful for you both being here today and tremendous work that you do. You have my profound, heartfelt gratitude for everything you've done in the past and that we're going to do together in the future. This is something that I've seen and witnessed and tried to help with the school district, and that's back when there was no budgets for these kinds of things. And so it's great to see the community support. So I will hold the rest of my comments and I'll let my colleagues add some comments. So just as you see, you don't get to go sit down yet. You're kind of stuck now. So, but we want to make some comments about this important proclamation. We'll start with my colleague, Commissioner Kafalis.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, folks. Appreciate all the good work. Continuum of Care, NOCO Continuum of Care, and Matthew's House. Well said. There's not a whole lot to add, but two things I wanted to mention. One is that in my role as the chair of the State Board of Human Services, I hope that you're aware on Friday, this past Friday in Denver, we approved second reading the rule packet that deals with a housing voucher program for foster youth transitioning out of foster care, I think 18 to perhaps 26. 100 vouchers. And what's unique about this is it also includes $1.4 million state general fund dollars that will help with case management. So I think that's important, and obviously you're aware of that. And I hope we can benefit from some of those resources in northern Colorado. The second thing is I appreciate the data points that Nicole mentioned, and just to perhaps add to the one data point regarding the kids coming out of child welfare system, foster care, definitely at higher risk, and all the things you said. And I'm glad that you referenced LGBTQ plus youth. And one of the things that I located was there's a national group called the Trevor Project, and they work on suicide prevention for LGBTQ plus youth. And according to a February 2022 report, they said that 28%, this is nationally, of LGBTQ youth reported experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity. And then if you dig down deeper, if it's, for example, youth who identify as transgender youth, the percentages are higher. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, and I appreciate your work and glad we can do the proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, just thank you, Kelly and Nicole and everyone who's here. Thank you for elevating this issue, because I think it's kind of been, it's not like it hasn't happened before. It's just that the momentum is here now and the dollars are here now to be able to make it happen. But, I remember being on city council and talking to teachers who said, on any given day, half a dozen kids come to me and say they don't know where they're sleeping tonight. And, thinking about, learning that Boulder had a program, and then how do we fund something like this? And so I'm so glad that things finally came together to make this happen. And, we're happy to play a small role in that. But I think that a lot of you have done that groundwork over the years, and I appreciate the work that you've done. I do agree with Commissioner Shattuck McNally. I think this is shameful in our society that we let this happen, and so addressing it feels like a step in the right direction. We're not going to be able to help everyone, but we can help some students and hopefully get to a place where we do help everyone. And so I think this is a remarkable start. I think making people aware of what's happening in our communities is important. But the idea that housing is health and that we need to really focus on getting more affordable housing in our communities and really helping, especially young people, figure this out so that we can, it makes our whole community healthier when we take care of each other. And just really glad that we are moving in the right direction and that we will be celebrating the opening next fall, and be very, very happy to be there. And as a commissioner, it's our intent to kind of keep working on this issue from very different avenues. And thank you to Commissioner Kafalis for reminding us about those vouchers, but just making people aware of the problem that's out there, I think is a good first step as well. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thanks, Kelly and Nicole, for bringing all those numbers. And it's great to know this is, I mean, but it's again, just kind of a sad statement. This is the first effort in 15 years are built when the need has grown and been there for as long as I've been volunteering at a high level at the Thompson School District. Those numbers have grown, and when I drop my kids off at early morning practices for sports, we would see the cars where families or their youth were sleeping in their cars, or we would hear stories of administrators or teachers giving money for hotel rooms or trying to help through vouchers or find vouchers to especially over the holidays or the weekends when their safety support systems in schools were not available. And at my children's high school, where they'd have a program where they could come in whenever they could get there because of transportation and have a warm meal, and they could kind of get settled in and have support and then get the needs that they have, because they realize if those students aren't coming to school ready to learn, because for them just getting to school is kind of a feat in itself, right? And so and this happens day in, day out. And then I also know this is a system for youth up to age 20, but we have a lot of college students who are couch surfing, who can barely keep themselves in school and trying to work and trying to find housing or afford or rent, or even through the application process. This is something that has been going on for a long time, but I think now we have not just time out. We've budgets. We have shown in our budgets this is an important value for us, an issue to solve, because they say if you want to look at what a elected body or someone's values are, you look at where they put their money, and we can see a lot of this has been housing, and this money for this transformational project, committing that money. And I want to go back to that May 18th, 2022 meeting. Where we had all these groups who all had the best intentions, and everyone else was trying to get we can do it. We had Together Colorado, and they all spelled differently, and everyone in the room with the best intentions. But it took, I look at this proclamation, and it talks about foster collaboration, because that's what it took, was having that meeting and getting us all together and saying, what is it going to take for bring all the puzzle pieces together, because they were all in the same room. And how we're going to solve this and finally do something and take action. And I'm very proud of our role, but more proud, Nicole, you especially, that day. It's like all the light bulbs went on, and you stood up and raised your hand and said, I think we have the missing piece. And it was, and I just appreciate your courageous work and you stepping up that day and talking about it, and just the work, the continuing care. When I served on Loving Human Services Commission, I got to listen in on some of that. The work that you guys do, we work so tirelessly trying to find places for folks to have a safe place for the night, because it is a right. I think housing is a right, and especially for our youth, because we know, and I know you've stated this, but I want to just say this again, unstable, unsafe housing situations, which they're unsafe. We talked about lots of things, but they're unsafe situations. Sets our youth, the future of our country, our foundation on a pathway to greater trauma. These kids have trauma, and they have a lot higher risk and instability. And they're more likely than their peers to endure threats to their health and safety and welfare. And I also want to look back at this, this proclamation that you helped us send to us, but that we kind of, tweak for our purposes, but it's just really important that we say this really clearly, that every young person deserves a safe and stable place to call home, and the right to have this safe and stable home with the right to this education and feeling loved and cared for, and that they matter. And so this is really something that I didn't know some of these youth. We had a food pantry, and I'll bring apples in every week to make sure they could get fresh fruit, and just those kind of small things of them just thinking getting an apple. A fresh apple was such a big deal. Just kind of, I'll never forget that. Something I keep in my heart when I do this work is for someone, an apple is a big deal. So thank you for being here today and bringing this forward. And thank you, Aaliyah, for your work and this collaboration. I'm so proud of this community, and I'm proud of all of you and the things that you do behind the scenes. You're unsung heroes. And I just wanted to say, the work that you do should be lauded and applauded, and I'm glad for this collaboration. I call it kind of the Larimer way, but just this collaboration partnership is so important, and I look forward for us to strengthen these partnerships and continue the work going forward. And thanks to Poudre School District and Thompson School District for their partnership and their dedication. I know all school districts are experiencing this. I know it's important awareness. We have 3 copies, so we'll have one for you all, and then I thought each school district would like to have a copy. So if someone could get it to the Thompson, that would be great. And just appreciate, again, just bringing here, raising this awareness and showing that we support the work that you do, and together we can hopefully be a aspirational goal, but I really would love to end youth homelessness in Larimer County. So with that, I will ask Commissioner, Lorinda, would you like to make some comments? Thank you.
I think so much has been said, but I will add that this is one of those transformational projects that got initiated way back when the American Rescue Plan Act funding came, and you all challenged the community and our staff to try to find ways to really use this money, not just for operations, but a way to transform the community. Laura Walker, you were a tremendous part of this. I think we called you the ARPA lady for several years in a row because you really were a great collaborator. You used your network and you looked for opportunities to do things differently with our partners. And this is a great example of that. $1.5 million was designated for this project to operate and run this facility. And this is a simple reminder, this proclamation, bringing this to people's attention because youth homelessness exists in our community. And we want to do what we can to support it and challenge community members to help. So thank you for what you do and for what you're doing today to bring it to people's attention.
Thank you, Lorinda, especially for recognizing Laura Walker, who is hiding out of my line of sight. I see you now, hiding behind Elena in the back. Yeah, thank you, Laura. You have been very much instrumental in a lot of ways, and I know this is a really important issue for you as well, so thank you. So with that, and thank you, Lorinda, for your comments, I will ask Commissioner Kafalis to read the proclamation and make the motion to approve this proclamation declaring November 2023 as Youth Homelessness Awareness Month. Thank you, Commissioner.
Whereas youth homelessness is a pressing issue affecting thousands of young people across our nation, whereas the month of November provides an opportunity to raise awareness about the challenges faced by homeless youth and to emphasize the importance of finding solutions. Whereas youth homelessness is not solely a result of individual choices, but often stems from systemic factors such as family instability, economic hardships, and lack of access to affordable housing. Whereas homeless youth are at higher risk of experiencing physical and emotional harm, engaging in risky behaviors, and facing barriers to education, employment, and health care. Whereas we believe that every young person deserves a safe and stable place to call home, and 300 students in Poudre and Thompson school districts identify as youth experiencing homelessness and are not in the physical custody of a parent or guardian, and that ending youth homelessness is not only a moral imperative, but also a benefit to our communities and society as a whole. Whereas 46% of youth exiting foster care experience homelessness before they reach 26 years of age, and 25% become homeless within 12 months. Whereas nearly 9% of youth over the age of 16 slept somewhere other than their home in the past 30 days in Larimer County. Whereas Larimer County recognizes the reality of youth homelessness in our community, and for that reason has dedicated the $1.5 million towards the operation of a youth shelter campus to provide resources to youth experiencing experiencing housing instability. Now, therefore, we, the Board of County Commissioners for Larimer County, do hereby proclaim the month of November as Youth Homeless Awareness Month, along with the, Northern Colorado Continuum of Care, Poudre School District, Thompson School District, and the Matthews House. During this month, we encourage all residents, visitors, communities, and organizations to come together to, number one, raise awareness, increase public understanding of the causes and consequences of youth homelessness through educational initiatives, outreach programs, and social media campaigns. Number two, support solutions, advocate for policies and funding that address the root causes of youth homelessness, including affordable housing, family support, and mental health services. Three, provide assistance, partner with local shelters, service providers, and youth organizations to offer resources and support to homeless youth in our communities. Four, empower youth, listen to and engage with homeless youth to ensure their voices are heard and respected in the decision-making process. Finally, foster collaboration, encouraging collaboration among government agencies, nonprofit organizations, business, and community members to develop comprehensive strategies for ending youth homelessness. By recognizing November as Youth Homelessness Awareness Month, we hope to unite our community in the fight against youth homelessness and inspire positive change for our most vulnerable young residents on this day, November 7th, 2023. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. For reading that proclamation, would you please make the motion?
Oh, yes. Kind of forgot about that. I move to approve the proclamation declaring November 2023 as Youth Homeless Awareness Month.
Thank you, Commissioner, for making reading the proclamation and making that motion. Any further deliberation?
Just
Commissioner
quickly,
Kopfalis.
while we were shouting out various folks, well deserved, we should also acknowledge our Assistant County Manager, Lori Cadrich. She has many roles, but one of her roles often is to look at these proclamations that we receive and provide some editing and some adapting them to what's relevant for the county. So I think it's appropriate to give her a bit of a shout out. Oh, did I do I did yeah, we can vote now. Yes, I forgot.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Without further deliberation, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, congratulations. We're going to pause for a moment to take a photo with our proclamations, and we'll return momentarily. Thank you all. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for your patience as we took a moment to celebrate our first ever but very important proclamation declaring November 2023 as Youth Homelessness Awareness Month, a very important proclamation, and we thank our very dedicated, hardworking guests for their presence today, receive this proclamation, very important work. Very excited to highlight this and raise awareness. So now we are on to our next item. We're done with our discussion items and we will have our county manager update. And when you're done, Lorinda, I just wanted to add something real quick, but let's go ahead and have you start. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So one of the things I get to do as county manager is coordinate with the elected offices and the community groups we have that do such great work across the community. So last week I met with Treasurer Irene Josie, District Attorney Gordon McLaughlin, and Sheriff John Fayen. And it is a real pleasure to work with people who are so dedicated to our community and the work that they do. They know that our budget has been precarious this year, and they wanted to talk more about how they could help with that. Without exception. And so they have been great partners, and I want to express my appreciation for their continuing to meet with us and to be really considerate about those fiscal issues. I also met with the City of Loveland, Larimer County, Thompson School District, and the town of Berthoud, along with Commissioner Sheddick McNally. We do these quarterly. Typically, we got a little off schedule because of some vacation time this year. But those are great meetings as well. These things like being able to collaborate on a youth homeless shelter and have that facility provided by the school district was really something that made this possible. And so those collaboration opportunities are really important and valuable. I also met with Fort Collins Downtown Development Authority Executive Director Matt Robenall about their good work and their entrance into the housing arena, which is very interesting to provide housing for folks who work downtown and make sure those businesses stay vibrant because people can afford to live and work in the same place. And then finally, with all of you, I participated in the disaster policy group exercise at the Emergency Operations Center. What a great, amazing, engaged group. They grouped us by table, by jurisdiction, and elected officials were there, appointed folks were there, and Lori Hodges, our emergency manager extraordinaire, walked us through a really thoughtful process about sharing of resources, how we can support the community without competing for those resources. And I hope we can do those annually. I think folks raised their hand and said that was a good idea. So thank you for coming and participating in that and being so engaged. We had a great table full of folks, including lots of city and county attorneys that were there to provide that legal guidance. I don't think we've had that kind of group come together before, so it's pretty extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorinda, and thank you for your work. And I'm sorry I had to miss that last week. Colleagues, do you have any questions or comments to Lorinda? Commissioner Kafalis?
Yes, thank you for referencing the disaster policy exercise. And just want to say thank you. I believe you had a role in helping to bring that together. Very important, very valuable. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. So I like to take a little personal privilege as the chair. Your colleagues kind of made sure I had this in my little hand right now, just to take a moment to acknowledge you, Lorinda, as Commissioner Kafalis. There are a lot of things that you do. That you are a role behind the scenes initiator, and you don't take a lot of credit for a lot of the things that you do for this county. And one of the just really proud and grateful for your work as our county manager and formerly as our assistant county manager in an HR department. But you have been a steadfast, dedicated employee of this organization, Larimer County. You really care about the community in so many ways, and you do that more than just words. You do it with lots of actions and lots of opportunities that you really, I don't think you take credit for a lot of the things that you do. So I have with me a certificate with sincere appreciation to award and to honor Lorinda Volker as for appreciation of her 15 years of dedicated service in Larimer County. And so I just wanted to say thank you. I'm truly grateful and wanted to give this to you today. And just from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You have, this is a wonderful organization, employees, staff, and I've always said, like a commissioner, there are so many things that we have walked into that have great organization, the organizational chart, some of the directors and folks that are in place, and to walk into that and having some amazing systems and processes in place is really an effect to like former folks like Linda Hoffman and others, but you've been here 15 years. So I wanted to give this to you. We do this, we honor a lot of employees with these awards, but some folks thought it would be great if we took a moment publicly just to thank you for 15 years of service. So I'll see if my colleagues, as I hand this over, yeah, we can do a little clap.
Thank you very much.
And then see if my colleagues want to add anything else. Commissioner Stevens?
Yeah, well, thank you, Lorinda. It truly is a pleasure working with you. I've, known you in two different roles, as assistant county manager and now county manager, and I'm just really grateful for the leadership that you provide this organization. The culture that you provide and the sense of calm and the just innovative thinking that you provide has served this organization very well. And, you can tell to a person that you're respected. And, I certainly know that I think the other commissioners rely on you for a lot of good advice and for guidance as we move through some of these more trickier topics that we're trying to deal with. And so I'm just there again, just very grateful for your steadfastness and your calm demeanor that sets the tone for so many things. It's really easy to get worked up and to get excited about this, but I think we need to think about our work in a very thoughtful and measured way. And I appreciate your leadership in setting the example for us to do that and for others in the organization to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for 15 years, and here's to 15 more.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Faust, did you want to make any comments, sir?
Yes, I'll make a couple. Just, I think one of the things we approved today on the consent agenda was your updated employment agreement for next year. And as we went through that process and looked at the myriad of accomplishments that you've had this year, and certainly since becoming our official county manager, I believe in July perhaps of 2022, everything that Kristen said I certainly concur with. You embody the guiding principles, your collaboration and working with folks in the community, as well as working with all the leadership and the department heads, and it's a great team effort. And I think one of the biggest things I appreciate, for me at least, is your demeanor. You're awfully nice, and I'm glad you're my neighbor. So that's it.
Thank you, Commissioners. And Lorinda, I know you probably are, didn't expect this, but I just thought, I think you, yes, your extended congrats on the consent agenda today, but I just think pretty much everyone says the same thing about you. Everyone holds you in pretty high regard and respect, and Commissioner Stevens, right? Your measured and calm demeanor helps set the tone for a lot of things. I'm just really grateful, and you make my job and this experience 10,000 times better for me. So thank you very much. I appreciate the work that you do to help us be able to do our jobs with a lot of support, and just appreciate that. So thank you. And now we'll move on to our commissioner reports. We'll start with Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, we had quite a bit of things going on last week, and one of the things that has become apparent is that the legislative session is coming up sooner than later, and so a lot of the meetings that we had were with regard to what's going to happen, what kind of bills we want to support. So with that, on Wednesday we had a CCAT transportation meeting. We discussed a bill that will be funding likely funding some transit. So I'm not exactly sure what that looks like, but there will be bills that will make the ozone-free fares on buses a permanent, and the funding for that permanent. So that's exciting. Fort Collins is already fare-free all year long, but for those transit agencies within Larimer County, that's a good that is good for them. And then there will also be legislation around free fares for those under 19, and that sounds like that would be pursued statewide to create a funding source for that as well. Also, some safety issues around big vehicles, and then to be determined what the transportation-oriented development pieces are going to look like that come back from that former big land use bill. And then on Thursday, we went to the governor's mansion to discuss with a working group on the future of transit and rail. So as we've heard about from Andy Carcian from the Front Range Passenger Rail Group, there's a lot of momentum right now around transit and rail. And so there's also a lot of federal dollars that we should try to take advantage of. And so this group is kind of talking about how we keep the momentum going, how we build that momentum across the state around transit and rail, and really maybe get rail, in our region sooner than later. So that's also very exciting. And then just wanted to mention that I attended a Living Beyond Suicide Summit in Golden. I have a dear friend from boarding school who happens to be a real expert in the field of suicide prevention. And he invited me to attend the Suicide Summit. It was really interesting to learn about how the 988 is working and changes that need to be made to that program to make it even more robust. And then learned a lot about how we can intervene in situations where we're not where there's not involuntary committal to hospitals when people are having mental health crises. And I think that we do that really well. So I was able to share some of the things that we do in our community. And there were people from all over the country. So it was a very, really interesting summit. And then finally, Friday, we had our fall retreat for CCAT. And I think, while we talked about a lot of the bills that are coming up and what we want to support, I think some of the most important work that we did was that morning we did a lot of equity work. So we had consultants come in to talk to us about how we want to approach equity within our organization, and then how we use an equity tool to really evaluate bills and help our friends in the legislature kind of build equity into the bills that they're bringing forward as well. So that was great work, and that was a very full week. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Kofalis.
Thank you. I'll share a few things, and I think I'll go in reverse chronological order. Help me to keep track of things. This past Friday, I attended the Larimer County 4-H Achievement Night, and that was fun and interesting. Got to sit towards the back with Carrie Weiner, our Extension Director. Before that, I was at Colorado State University. They had their One Health Day, which is the One Health Institute, and they had a series of sort of power presentations, maybe 5 minutes each, on issues-related research that's being done, regarding air, land, and water, vector-borne diseases, a variety of things. So that was also very interesting. And then that morning, I was in Denver, as I mentioned, State Board of Human Services. And in addition to passing the housing voucher program for children and youth transitioning out of the foster care, we also passed second reading of the fairly transformative behavioral health entity licensing rule. And what this means is that facilities that were licensed in the past, mostly from the Colorado Department of Health and Environment, that'll all fall under the auspices of the Behavioral Health Administration, BHA, and safety net providers are included. And these are the rules for licensing. Summit Stone will fall under this as an acute care facility, and they've been at the table and they've provided good, constructive comments. This will take effect January 1st based on legislation, but there'll be a 6-month grace period of sorts to make sure that the support is there for all of these providers, behavioral health providers, to make sure they're following the rules and being able to provide the services. On Thursday, we had our Wellington community conversation. There was a transportation theme. We had James Usher from the Region 4, from project engineer for CDOT, Department of Transportation, and talked about various things. But one thing in particular was the Highway 1 County Road 9 intersection. And so that was a lively discussion. That's the public safety measure. What James indicated when I asked the question is that they'll probably make a decision on that within the next month or so. And they're looking at a, quote, minor roundabout, or I guess a traffic circle. That was in the morning, and it was great that Mark Peterson was there, as well as Leslie Ellis. To her credit, she's going around more to listen and kind of see firsthand how these things work. We also got to do a landfill tour. That was with Dwayne, Leslie, and I. The three of us got to drive around. And again, you wouldn't think a garbage dump would be that interesting, but there's a lot of stuff that's involved. And we had a good discussion afterwards. Almost done, I think. Oh, last Tuesday, I don't know if Commissioner Stevens mentioned this, but we both attended or visited respite care, and certainly with the theme of family caregiving, respite care is really important. They provide respite care to parents, primarily caregivers of children from, I think, like 6 weeks on up to maybe 18, but children with special needs. And it was really nice to be in that facility. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, and appreciate those updates. It's great to hear about some of the things. I'm sorry that I missed the CCAT event last week. It was something I was sad to not be a part of. I wanted to just go back to, Miranda mentioned our meeting last Monday on the Thompson School District, the City of Loveland, and Town of Berthoud, and the county's meeting. Glad that we got those on track. We got those all scheduled for next year, got the dates already for the whole year for next year. Some really powerful conversations with the groups. The youth shelter, of course, was one of those conversations. We did hear a little bit from the Town of Berthoud about some of the different avenues we're taking with broadband. We also discussed just some of our strategic planning and some of the goals of maybe connectedness and belonging and some of those items. And I appreciate the participation of all those entities and the individuals. We really have some really great discussions. And thank you, Lorinda, for being there and support, and Laura Walker as well. Appreciate her coming, and because it's early breakfast. We started at 7 on Monday, and that was probably a little bit because of my schedule, but then grateful for the work session. And then I took a couple days off last week because I was celebrating a big family milestone, and I wanted to I don't take very often time off, but I just wanted to go out and be there in person for this family milestone. So that's all I have to share, other than yesterday was a busy day with our schedule, and it was really great to have those, the Murphy Center, we were there yesterday for the kind of groundbreaking ceremony, and I literally did break ground, but it was great to have director of the Murphy Center and the group that was there. Senator Bennett's office was there. Mayor Jenny Arndt, Councilwoman Peel, Commissioner Kowalski and I attended, and there was a lot of individuals who volunteer and are involved. And it was a chance to celebrate and to go in to see where this is actually going to be. And we were able to put on some hard hats and literally take a sledgehammer and break the ground. So I took a few swings and still have that little piece of chunk of the floor and the concrete floor in my car. But it was just a chance to celebrate also with Summit Stone Health Partners. They were there because they're going to operate, and we gave $1 million to help that construction, that capital improvement, and they have the kind of the shell on, and now they're working on the inside, and so it's great to be there and to celebrate with those partners. And Dr. Leslie Brooks who is a medical director for Summit Stone Health Partners, did a phenomenal speech, and it was great to be with her it's a big day. And that was Sister Murphy's vision of seeing everything under one roof and the care for those among us the most vulnerable. Was really heartwarming to see this as one step closer. So appreciate the invitation and that chance to be there. And I want to just shout out to Matthew Behunin and Alex Jordan and Lorenda and everyone for our budget hearing, and Dwayne Penny, who did a great presentation. And as we have, these are steps that we have to take in the process, but it's really important to give the public an opportunity to learn and hear. And as we're getting closer to approving, and today will be a big decision day for our budget, depending on HH passes or not, but we will have, we're one step closer to approving our budget for next year. So thanks to Lorenda and the team for months and months of hard work. We appreciate, and all the directors, just lots of hard work. We appreciate the diligence and the care that you take into this budget, because they're not just numbers. These are people and programs and services. And so that's what really this, as I mentioned before, budgets kind of show our values and where we put our money in. So this is important work that we do. So with that, at 10:33, we are adjourned. Thank you for joining us today.